I'm about to talk to, well, one of my favourite artists in the world, one of my favourite artists in any form whatsoever, one of the greatest live musicians I've ever seen and continue to see on a regular basis. It's actually been my pleasure to introduce him on stage a few times. Unfortunately, it's difficult to get up on stage at the moment, but he's certainly been busy because he's just made his 42nd album, someone's counting, and it's a big one. It's got 28 tracks. It is, of course, the great Van Morrison. Van, thanks for talking to us.
Oh, thanks, Robert. Sure.
You've certainly been busy. Is this the longest album in terms of number of tracks you've ever made, do you think?
Yeah. As far as studio albums go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's the very long extended version of "It's Too Late to Stop Now," which I love, by the way. But for a studio album, this is a big one. How come so many songs? What is there a kind of a theme going on there, do you think?
No, it's pretty obvious stuff when you analyze it. It's pretty obvious. There's no gigs, no traveling. So there's no traveling, no gigs. Traveling and gigs tick up lots and lots and lots of time. So when one doesn't do gigs and one doesn't travel, then one does other things like write songs and record them. So this is, a lot of this time would have been spent traveling and checking in and out of hotels and airports and, So that time is going into this project.
Do you miss them?
I mean, this would never have, if had I been touring, then this wouldn't have happened.
How did you do it? I mean, did you record it all and then send it off to the band? How did it work physically?
No. A lot of it was recorded in 2019 and the beginning of 2020. And then when things opened up again, then we were in different corners of the room,
Keeping a good safe distance apart.
Yeah, well, cool, of course.
Of course. Do you miss the touring? I don't mean the touring. I'm sure no one misses the hotel lobbies and the airports and all of that. But do you miss playing live?
I'm not really sure at this point. I mean, there's a certain thing about playing live that you can't get elsewhere, and that is being in the present moment. And when it's all good and it's all happening, yes. But quite frankly, all the stuff around it, like the traveling and the running of the operation and all that, I don't think I miss all that. And that's kind of what this has provided for me is another viewpoint. And, really, what's good about this and what isn't.
I remember.
Because a lot of the administration and business and travel and organization and running of the thing, that is quite time consuming. So I don't miss that. I missed going into, getting into a live gig situation where everything is going really well. So I missed that part of it, but I have to weigh it all up. So this kind of lockdown situation has provided me, an alternative viewpoint of like, well, I need to reevaluate all this, because there's a very small percentage is spent on stage, and 99.9% of it is running it in business and travel and all the other stuff.
I interviewed Charlie Watts once. Charlie Watts, of course, from the Rolling Stones, and they were celebrating 50 years of the Rolling Stones. And I said to him, how does it feel, 50 years of rock and roll? He said, it's not 50 years of rock and roll. It's 45 years of waiting about and 5 years of rock and roll.
Well, there you go. That's he's telling the truth there. Yeah.
You might not miss it though, Van, but I miss seeing you live because, pretty much every time you play in London, I'm there. And for me, that when you are in the moment and really, absorbed in some of those songs, it's still some of the most powerful live experiences I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, you've seen some of the club gigs, which I like to do, and that's the kind of gigs I like to do best. But as we know, clubs are not. You can't socially distance in clubs. No. Yeah, so. For the minute, we have to see what happens with that.
When you play
that's what I enjoy. I enjoy clubs best.
Yeah, they're great gigs. Those. When you play those club gigs, you often play a lot of blues, and there's a lot of rhythm and blues on this record, isn't there? It's got quite a stripped back rhythm and blues feel to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, that's kind of running through, all my music for probably. Last 50 years, probably, running in the background, It so happens that the musicians that are playing on this are more in line with that, than probably anything else for a while,
I mean, at times it reminded me, particularly tracks like, for example, Where Have All the Rebels Gone, almost reminded me going back to sort of really early stuff like Them and all of that. It had that guitar feel and that sort of edgy feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. See, well, yeah. I mean, it's definitely got that vibe going. Yeah, that's for sure.
Some of the titles are a little unusual, Van.
How do you mean?
Well, Why Are You on Facebook is an unusual title for a song, I would have thought, for example.
That's just satire, really. I mean, you remember that?
I do.
Well, that's what it is. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's not meant to be taken seriously.
Yeah, because there's quite a few of those on there, isn't there? The Psychoanalyst's Ball is quite a funny one.
Yeah, I love that one. Same thing, just putting it out there,
It says
keep coming back,
Well, you keep coming back. I mean, it is amazing. Many, and one of the other things about the record is your voice. Do you do things to look after your voice? Because it seems in incredible shape.
Well, just practice. Just, singing is the best remedy for the voice, is doing singing as much as possible, just utilizing what you have and expanding it. It's like, it's what it's the old joke about, how do you get the Albert Hall? Practice.
I'm not going to name any names, but, certain other singers at this stage of their career, their voices seem a little bit kind of gone, but yours certainly not.
I know. God bless, Yeah.
You're blessed with great pipes, Van. I guess there's always that.
Absolutely, and I thank God for that,
It's the latest record project, Volume 1. Again, that's a fairly literal title. Does that mean there's a lot more to come?
Well, there's Volume 2 coming, probably end of the year. Towards the end of the year, probably.
And is that in a similar vein, would you say?
Well, it's hard to say because, all the songs, to me, are different.
Right.
So I can't say it's in a particular vein. I mean, there's, some blues, some jump. I mean, it could be, but I don't see it that way.
It's interesting when you said jump, because again, that kind of jump jive style is one that you've always really loved, isn't it? I mean, Symphony Sid is such a live kind of classic of yours.
Absolutely, yes, indeed, yeah.
Why is that? Why that particular music? Is that because that was music you were hearing when you were young, do you think?
Well, I've always liked that style, and I've always loved, for instance, like Louis Prima and Louis Jordan. But particularly Louis Prima, I learned a lot from Louis Prima. Also vocally, I learned loads from him vocally. Like Frank Sinatra said, he was the best vocalist in the business.
Wow. I mean, I've spent a lot of time listening to you and hearing you talk as well, and you love talking about music. Don't you? I mean, you love people who love music. I remember hearing you talk about the Ray Charles band and how fantastic they were and stuff. Yeah, and that's still a passion of yours.
Oh, absolutely. That's still. I'm still exploring it. Still exploring it. Yeah.
And it's a pretty damn good band you've got yourself at the moment. I mean, live they can really do it, can't they?
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm.
Where do you find them? How do you go about finding them? I mean, and when you've got them, look after them, I guess.
Well, it's trial and error. Same old story, and trial and error, and then just evolving it and keeping going, keeping it fresh. Not playing the same songs over and over again. I mean, I think that's the kiss of death, is like keep playing the same set over and over. So I always like to change the set, stretch out a bit, challenge, make it more of a challenge for me and the musicians. So I think that's what works for me.
Well, it works for me as well. I mean, those live gigs, the minute you're back in town, I'll be there. But you're doing a one online, aren't you?
Doing one. It's coming up this weekend.
A live stream.
Yeah. And then I have the gigs at the Palladium that I'm doing in the beginning of June.
If you need someone to introduce you on stage, I'll be there, Van.
I'd love you to introduce me on stage. Definitely come along and introduce me. It'd be great.
I'll look forward to it.
Brilliant. Okay, Robert.
Brilliant, Van. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, cheers. See you at the Palladium then.
See you then, man. Thank you.